Hello, everybody,
Hello.
and welcome to Mr. and Mrs. the Car Edition. Today we decided we're going to do it in the car. You know what? Today we're not going to announce. We're not going to make any flyers. We're not going. I think we also had a very hectic day today, so we just thought, you know what? Let's just do it live.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll keep it online so people can watch. People don't have to, plug in live as they normally do. But surprisingly, we've got all seven of you watching. So thank you so much for watching. Please let us know where you're watching from. Give us in the comment section there. Tell us who you are and where you're watching from. We appreciate you. Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate having you, and it's always good. It's always good to spend time. For us, this is quality time to spend with you as we talk about what happens in the marriages and what we can do to make sure that our marriages are fulfilling, our marriages are the blessing that we hoped they would be when we got together. So we talk about anything and everything that affects marriage here on Mr. and Mrs. Hey, Isaac. Strange from somewhere.
A stranger from
I'm
somewhere.
a stranger from somewhere. Hey, Isaac, good to have you. So yes, we talk about anything and everything that affects marriage. Last week we were talking about how even the mental state, the mental health affects the marriage. And so each week we're talking about something different really that affects the marriage, from your spirit to your soul to your body, the things that may be happening with you in those three areas that may be affecting your marriage.
Welcome, Faith and Sarah. Thank you so much for joining. What Sarah's watching from Namibia. Faith is from Krugersdorp in Joburg. Okay.
Hey, Faith, she says it's been a while. Please don't go, what's the word? when you go missing, don't miss out. Please always tune in on Saturdays so that we can have this time together consistently.
Yeah. So tonight, before we waste too much time, tonight we're talking about
the servant heart, or the serving heart in marriage. And we're talking about how, when we are in a marriage, it's about serving each other. What communicates that I love you without me actually saying I love you, is the little things that I do, the sacrifices that I make to serve you. And we were just talking about how sometimes it's culture that makes us believe that the serving part is for the wife to the husband, and it ends there. But when people love each other, people serve one another. You always serve the people that you love. So it's not one-sided to say it's the wife that serves the husband, but as husband and wife, to serve one another.
Isaac asks, what's the difference between serving and being taken advantage of? So very good question, and we're gonna get into that. Yeah. As you can tell, my eyes are a little bit drowsy. I've had a very long day, so this today my wife is going to be doing a lot of the talking, and I'll be serving.
I'll be serving. I'll be serving you.
Yes, you'll be serving.
Okay, so we looked up what the word serve means, and the different words that came up. I found them very exciting. When I picked this up, and I thought, I actually didn't connect these words to serving. So we'll give you 10 words that mean the same as serving. So the first word in no particular order is supply. So in other words, when we say we are serving one another, when you're serving your spouse, it means you're supplying something. You yes, you are supplying. So you're meeting a need that I have as your spouse. So supply is another word. Provide. So there's provision. When you serve your spouse, you are providing. You give is the other word. Deliver. Nurse. Minister. I put a star on minister because I really love that word. When you say this ministers to me, you are saying this touches me beyond just the physical. It touches my emotion. It touches my whole being. So, minister is the other word for serve. Fulfill. You are fulfilling a need that your spouse has. the another word there, or this one is a phrase, it's answer this. So I may have a question or I may have a need, but when you are serving me, you are answering the need that I may have. It also means to satisfy. And for me, when I saw that, I just thought, the number of people that say, in my marriage, I'm not satisfied, or my husband doesn't satisfy me, or my wife doesn't satisfy me. And sometimes we think it's a sexual thing, but sometimes it's just in that I'm not getting that serving from my spouse. My spouse is not serving me. So if your spouse is not serving you, then you end up in a place where you're not fulfilled.
And you know what, the whole thing about serving, like all of these definitions, it's a marriage has two people, right? It's not a marriage if it's just got one person. So it's you doing that for each other, it's you providing for each other, it's you fulfilling each other, it's you delivering for each other, it's you answering each other. It's you making sure that you are blameless as far as what you're supposed to do as a spouse is concerned. It's you taking the time out to minister to your spouse. And I think also, just when Isaac was asking the difference between serving and being taken advantage of, when you're being taken advantage of, you notice that it's just one person who's doing all the giving. It's one-sided serving. That's taking advantage of. And I think you've got an example of what one of our sons said.
Oh, okay. So when I'm preparing lunch boxes for the family in the morning, my husband loves fruits, so I like to mix up and put together a fruit salad for him. So the other time my son said, Mom, you baby dad, like, why do you chop up those fruits? For us, you just put an orange or you just put an apple. Why do you have to chop it up for dad? Because even if it's just an apple, I peel it and then I chop it up and I put a fork for him and all that. And then my son says, you baby dad, why do you do that? And then I said to him, for me, it's not that I'm babying him, and it's not a task for me. It's not what's the word? I'm not being taken advantage of. Yes, like you said, Isaac. For me, it's because I find it easy to do it, because I said to him, think of the car that I use. I have no idea where a wheel spanner is. I have no idea where, when I have a flat tire, I actually call him and say, so what am I supposed to do here? I have no idea what goes on. All I know is to get in the car and drive off. So I said, because he serves me as well. So it's not difficult and it's not a burden for me to serve him in that way. So you find that, when people are looking from the outside, people can look and say, oh, so and so, Mrs. so and so is abused, or Mrs. so and so is taken advantage of by the husband, or Mrs. so and so, or Mr. so and so. What they do is weird. Why would you have to go to that length? Why would you do that? In that, sometimes it's simply because as a couple you are doing things for each other, such that doing those other extra things does not seem like a burden, because you do it with such joy and such peace, and you're actually thinking, oh, what else can I do? Because this person serves you. So Isaac Isaac says Kujikiswa. So yes, if you put it that way, because he does the same for me, so it's not a task. So we are serving and we're fulfilling each other. Another word there, the last one, is to care for. In other words, when you're doing those things, you are caring for your spouse. So today was just about to encourage each other as husbands and wives to serve one another. And serving is not just the wife serving the husband. It's both ways. What are the little things that you can do for your spouse to serve them, to bring fulfillment to them, to provide for them, to supply? And as we're putting together notes for this, we're like, there's power in these 6 words. What can I do for you? How can I be of assistance? There's such power in that. Just, I'll speak from a woman's perspective. the times where Simba says to me, where I'm overwhelmed, I'm trying to get the kids to bath, I'm trying to make supper, I'm trying to do this, and then he says, what can I do to help? Honestly, I can tell you, for me, that is, like I said, you touch beyond the physical. You go to the emotion. You go to, because I'm thinking you really see you see that there's a need that I have, and you're taking the initiative to meet that need. So just those words, it's ministry.
You know, if you've ever been in a really good quality restaurant, where the waiters are really well trained, you'll know that, you know, when you're eating, the waiters, they don't even wait for you to finish your food before they come back and ask you how the food is, before they come back and ask if they can fill up your drink again, if they ask if there's anything else that you need. You know, they're on
Yeah.
point. You know, and I just try to imagine that if we can do that in marriage sometimes, that we serve each other at that level where, you know, we don't even need to ask. Look, obviously it's easier said than done, that's the truth, but there are small steps that you can begin to take today, especially if we've been married for a very long time, where, you know, it's we are overtaken by just the demands of life, by the pressures of life, and we stop serving each other again. I think it's time that we just start taking small little steps. Isaac asked, you know,
Can
can
you
you serve
serve?
your spouse by making love to them? Yeah, well, that's serving me. One of the words there was minister to your spouse. And so
And
when you
fulfill.
and fulfill, and when you minister to your spouse, in other words, what you're doing is you're doing something that ministers to your spouse. It doesn't make sense for you to serve in a way that your spouse doesn't find. Like, you know what, I hate washing cars. It's the truth. I would rather just find somewhere and just, you know, ask someone, you know, nicely to wash my car. I don't like washing cars, you know. So my wife, you know, would wash my car, would wash my car. You know, so religious, and she still does, you know, whenever
I love
she
it. I
can,
love
because she
seeing
enjoys
things
that.
clean.
Yeah.
I love to take part in making sure that something is clean. So
Mhm.
I will do it
Mhm.
out of not just the mere fact
I
want
don't
to
make
see
my
something
wife
clean.
wash my car.
No.
Like, I don't. She does it because she just wants to serve. You know, it's her way of serving me. You know, but also on that same in that same breath, sometimes it's also very important for you to serve each other at the level where you find ministry. I remember, you know, the first time that she washed the car, and she came back and she expected me to be all bubbly and all like,
I was
oh my
expecting an
gosh, you just washed the
applause.
car, thank you so much.
Yeah.
But because for me it's not a big deal. You know, car washing, I whether it's done or it's not done, it's neither here nor there for me. I don't really care. So I didn't see that as serving to me because it didn't minister to me at that time. You know, so that didn't really end well. But what we're trying to just put across is know your spouse so much that you know what ministers to them,
Yeah.
and you do that. So that question there, Isaac, where you're talking about making love, if making love ministers to your spouse, you know what, you do that. So you make it happen. You know, you minister to your spouse. You get to that level where they've received them, where they are ministered to. At the end of the day, what you want is for your spouse to walk out and say, you know what, I am ministered to in
Yeah.
this marriage.
Yeah.
I am served in this marriage. And imagine how it would be that we actually, you know, try as much as we can to outdo each other when it comes to service. You know, like to have a thing between the two of us where we're trying to outdo each other in our service to each other, you know, and make that like some kind of an adventure to just outperform one another. And I think that's where it also then answers that question of being taken advantage of, because
Yeah.
when you are there trying to outdo your spouse and your spouse is there trying to outdo you, you know, you make it more exciting, and you just make it worth the while. And we take away from, listen, one of the reasons why we do what we do is we want to try and rewrite that narrative that, you know, a lot of people begin to say that marriage is boring,
Yeah.
you know, and that marriage doesn't work. But you know what, marriage does work if we only get back to the basics. These are basics, you know,
Yeah.
it's basic things that remember how it was when you were boyfriend and girlfriend. You'd serve one another as
Yeah.
boyfriend and girlfriend. You'd love each other for that. But somehow it's all lost in translation when we finally get married and we just, each seed begins to see to themselves, especially, for the men, or men just begin to see to themselves and just begin to expect being served. But it's incredible, guys, out there, if you begin to serve your wife, if you begin to really do the dishes once in a while, if you really begin to do the bed once in a while, if you pick up after yourself, put the clothes, put the socks in the thing where they're supposed to go, not just to get yourself out of there and just leave. Once in a while, close the cupboard doors. What is it that ministers to your spouse? What is it that gets that that this little thing that I do here, it irks my spouse, it bugs her, it bugs him, and you do the opposite of that. You're serving.
Yeah, it's so true. It's in the little things. It's in the day-to-day things. Sometimes we think our marriages will be made better when we start doing the great and the mighty, but it's in the little things. It's in the little day-to-day things that we do. When you serve me like that, when you ask me, can I make you a cup of tea? I'm like, can I massage your feet? You said you had a hectic day today. Can I massage your feet? Things like that. It's like it shows your spouse
and
that.
Guys, sorry to cut you off. And guys, I promise you, when you are at that level of service, it unlocks a world of goodies for you. Just a 15-minute foot massage can unlock.
I thought we were doing this just to serve the other person. Not
It's service. I'm not saying when you do it expecting a world of good coming out of it, but you know what? Is that thing of how the Bible talks about, like, wives submit to your husbands and husbands love your own wives. That it's the loving that unlocks the submission. It's the submission that unlocks the loving. So we're unlocking each other as we go.
So it's the service that unlocks. Oh, okay.
It's the service. It's the service that unlocks the world of goodies. It's the world of goodies that unlocks the service. So we are just unlocking each other as we go. And I think, it's important for us to even ask each other along the way to say, hey, when was the last time we unlocked each other?
Yeah.
Let's unlock each other. I know that sounds so wrong, but let's
Can you
unlock
purify
each other
it a bit?
I don't know if I can. Let's unlock. So I interrupted you when you were about to make a point.
Oh, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it's I was talking about how it's in the little things that we do daily that just makes marriage, it's just a small thing to say, you had a very exhausting day today. Can I make you a cup of tea? Just the fact that you thought of me and you thought of the day that I had, and you are willing to get up and serve me because it's comfortable. Hey, when you're now sitting at the end of the day and you have the remote control in your hands and you're watching whatever, but to actually give that up, to think of going to make me a cup of tea, it's a real ministry to me, and it speaks volumes of how much you love me and how much you care for me and how important I am to you. So beyond saying I love you, it's in those things that we do. And I think if we think about it in the context of, why do businesses have customer service desk? Why do we have a customer service desk? And when you walk into a bank, you find a help desk. Why do we have a help desk? It's because we want our customers to feel that we're paying attention to their needs. We have a customer service line, a hotline, when you need something, speed dial, because you want your customer to feel like
I think we've just coined a new statement here.
What?
Terrence, come, let's
come.
unlock it. Make sure you give us the royalties for that. We came up with that one.
Please unlock each other.
Let's unlock each other.
So yeah, businesses have, the help desk, the customer service desk, just to make sure that needs are met. And so, do we have a customer service desk for your spouse? Do you get up in the morning and say, baby, what can I do today to make your day better? What contribution can I make in your day today? Or how can I help you today? In this month, how can I help you? What are your needs? What do you want me to pray with you for, or to pray for you for? Things like that. It's like I said earlier, it touches beyond the physical. It
Mm.
goes into the emotions. It goes into the spirit. The fact that this person is actually there for me like that, to think, okay, today, because we are constantly planning, when you prepare for your next day, you're thinking, how am I going to serve my customers?
Yeah.
But your spouse is your customer. And the reason why most people in marriages are unsatisfied is because they are like the customer in the bank, and they don't have that help desk to serve them. They don't have that customer service desk to serve them. So create it if you didn't have
That's
in
so
your
good. That's so good. We go, we we find ourselves, serving and helping customers from outside. When this next customer here, this is probably the most important customer that you have, and that customer goes unserved, and that customer goes dissatisfied. So let's make it a point, and even just to include some suggestion boxes in these homes. How can I serve you better? Put a suggestion box in the home. Sometimes genuinely you may actually not know how to serve your spouse
Yeah.
well, how to what exactly that you can do that ministers to your spouse. Maybe it's been so long since you last asked, or maybe things have since changed. You're probably still doing the very same thing over and over again, and your spouse is like, dude, I moved away from that a long time ago. I no longer like that. I used to like that in our first 3 years of marriage, but now that's like old news.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why you continue to do that. I don't like it anymore. So sometimes genuinely maybe your spouse may have moved on from the thing that you're constantly doing, and you are thinking, I'm doing it and I'm serving and and she's happy, but in the meanwhile she's like, I don't even know how to tell this guy I'm done, I'm not happy with this thing. So sometimes that suggestion box is going to help, to say, hey, listen, that thing that you do, that you used to read, that I used to like, I no longer like it, babe.
I've moved on.
I no longer like it. But instead, replace it with this.
Yeah.
This is what tickles my fancy now. This is what makes it happen for me. I enjoy it when you do this.
Yeah.
I enjoy it when you suggest this. I enjoy it when you touch here or touch there.
Oh wow.
I knew it was gonna be,
So there was a question here. What did Isaac say? Okay, he said, should there be a complaints desk too? It's
a suggestion
it's
box
a
as well.
suggestion box, and even on the help desk in whatever organization you get to, at the help desk, I have a complaint, so I go there to the help desk. Help me, this is not functional, this product is not working. So it depends on how we put it across, but yes, we have to be able to vent out or to share when we're not satisfied by something, or by the product or the service that we are getting. We need to be able to go and share and talk about
it. And part of it is also just creating that environment in your marriage where your customer can come back to you and say, hey, listen, I'm not happy with this product, or I'm not happy with this service. Can we switch it up a little bit? Can we switch up the game? Sometimes it's just because you as a husband or you as the wife are not conducive enough. You are so scary that, your spouse will go for years without ever voicing out a concern because of just how tight that environment is, just how tight the atmosphere is in the home. So I mean, I don't know, guys, I don't know about you. I would rather have a happy wife. So I would rather be uncomfortable for those couple of minutes as she's telling me what she really is not, what she doesn't like, or or a complaint or a grievance that she may have with the service that I'm offering her. Knowing fully well that after
or when
that,
I'm not getting any service,
or when she's not getting any service at all, knowing fully well that after that, I will be okay in the way that I serve her. And when I do serve her, there won't be any more need for her to complain and to have grievances and such. And you know what, happy wife, happy life. That's that's what I don't know about a husband.
Yeah, happy husband, happy life.
Happy husband, happy home.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one guy, you said how am I going to serve Victor? Yeah, so ask yourself in the morning. In fact, have those conversations. We did have a live where we're talking about starting the day together. So include that in your starting the day together, where you're asking, today, how can I serve you? Or if it's the beginning of the week, this week, how can I serve you? What are your needs? It's a blessing to know that offer is there,
One of the questions that I think was there somewhere down there, to say that, look, if we're going to serve each other effectively, then can we have a duty roster with duties? Look, each to their own. You find what works for you at the end of the day. For some people, they do that. For some people, they have a thing that they stick on their fridge to say, on Monday, you do this, on Tuesday, you're doing that, on Wednesday, you're doing that, or whatever. You do what works for you. You do what serves, what ministers to both of you. If having a duty roster ministers to you, if having certain expectations or certain things that you say, okay, these things here, you do them. These things here, I do them. Look, at the end of the day, what is important is for you to both be happy and to be fulfilled. So if that makes you happy and if that fulfills you, then go ahead and do it. For some couples, it's a no-no. For some couples, they're like, we don't need to do that. We can be very spontaneous in the way that we do our duties, in the way that we do our serving to one another. For some couples, I actually have to put a reminder in my phone, to remind me to ask for that cup of tea, to ask for if she wants that cup of tea, to remind me to, while I'm at work during the whole day, to say when I get back home, I'm supposed to give her a foot massage. So I need to reserve a bit of energy while I'm at work, so that by the time I get home, I don't like giving foot massages, but I know that it ministers to my spouse. I don't do it every day, but I know it ministers to my spouse. So I have to reserve a little bit of energy, so that by the time I get home, I can serve my spouse, effectively, without her feeling like, she's being pinched here, but really giving it my all. So you do what works for you at the end of the day. What works for you? Have that board meeting where you ask each other as husband and wife, what works for us? And a lot of times we find a lot of marriages are on autopilot, unfortunately, because we've stopped asking each other those questions.
Yeah.
We've stopped asking each other what works. What can we do to switch things up a little bit? What can we do to make things better? What can we do to change things? What can we do to serve each other? What can we do to to make our marriage a little bit more efficient and effective? And yet, guys, we go to seminars, we buy books on corporate,
we go for strategy meetings. Weekly. We are strategizing in the offices.
We've got planners, and we've got a whole bunch of things that we're doing to make us effective in our jobs, in carrying out our tasks at work. And yet, we give so little time and so little energy and so little attention to this relationship here. Whereas if you actually paid a lot more attention to this relationship here, it will unlock a level of creativity you've never known, that you will perform every else. We once did a talk with Dr. Stitch and Francisca Tanyanyua, where for them it was talking about sex, that how sex is just such an integral part of the rest of your being, that just as long as if that department is functioning well, it's incredibly amazing how every other department begins to function. Now imagine if the department of serving is functioning and your spouse is here. Do you know a lot of the issues that we face even at work, sometimes it's roots that come from home.
Sometimes just this meanness, or just sometimes you wonder, is this person okay? Did that warrant you shouting the way that you did? But it's because it's coming from home. Maybe there's stuff at home that's not actually going on well. So let's serve one another. Let's be there for each other. Let's ask the question, how can I help you? How can I be of service today?
There was a program a long time ago. It was called Are You Being Served? I don't know if I'm probably revealing our age now, but I love that program. The guy would just come, Are you being served? And the guy would look at him and no. So you know what? We need to ask each other that. Are you being served in this marriage? Are you being served in this marriage, babe? Are you being served in this marriage? And be prepared for the answer that may come there, because they may say no. And
sometimes maybe you're being served in one area, but you're longing for something else. You are longing for I know for me, I was saying, baby, I really need to hear more of you sharing how much time you're spending, or how much you're spending in terms of praying for me, because it was a season where things were happening in my life and I really needed things to move. So sometimes, because of what's happening around us as well, you may find your spouse may need to be served more in a certain area. Maybe sometimes your spouse is feeling very low and they need to be served in terms of encouragement, doing things that boost them, things like that.
Sex.
So So that's why it's important to ask, how can I serve you? Because people go through different things. There's different seasons, there's different times, and people are in different and need different things at different times. So yeah, I think for me, this is, from what we were discussing today, this is something that we just really wanted to put across, to say, guys, if you had put that on the side, if you had shelved that, or if you had never done it before, it is important, it is crucial. Have
Basics.
customer service
Yeah.
desks in
Yeah.
your homes, where you ask each other, how can I serve you?
Mhm.
So that we can have marriages that are, you said the words, that are where you supply your spouse, where you provide, where you're giving, where you're delivering, where you're nursing, where you're ministering, where you're fulfilling, where you're satisfying, and where you're caring for your spouse.
Absolutely. Back to the basics, guys.
Yeah.
We want to just go back to the basics and serve the basics well. If we serve the basics well, they will serve us in an amazing way, and we'll have happy homes, happy marriages, happy lives. So yeah, just ask.
I think Isaac has something. He says, do we have anything in marriage that is expected for the other to do, or everything is for everyone to do? I'm not sure if he's talking about roles in terms of how society has assigned roles to say, in a home, the wife does the cooking, the wife does the all those roles for the wives, the roles for the men. It's difficult to stick to those roles in this time and day, because things have changed, where back then, the wife was specific, mainly at home and not going out to do any other job. So it was easy to say, okay, because you are the one who's here, you can run with these tasks. I'm going out to work, so I can run with this. It was easier to do that. But now, because times have changed, so sometimes we have to acknowledge the environment that is around us. We even include spouse, couples that have, we've spoken to couples that have moved from settings where, like here in Zim, it's easy to get help for the house. But when you move out of that environment and you're in a place where you can't get help, it can be very difficult for you, or very insensitive for you, to expect your wife to still continue to manage the way she was before, where she had help in the home, and now you're in an environment where there's no help at all. So we have to take cognizant, or keep in mind what's happening around us, and so that we are not rigid to say, because at the end of the day, it's about service. What is the need that is there? We are serving one another. So let's take cognizant of what's happening around us as well, so that we can continue to serve each other, and to make sure that your spouse is fulfilled. For some couples, there are times where we know couples where even those roles that are assigned to say this is for the woman, you'll find, in some couples, in some marriages, the husband does that very well. I know of couples where the husband, they said, don't iron my shirts because I'm actually better at ironing than you are. And they love each other, their marriage, they're happy in their marriage. And, so it depends on what you have agreed on as a couple, what works for you, and not what has been assigned to you. Because sometimes what has been assigned to you doesn't work for you as a couple.
Yeah, so I think we're good. We're done for tonight. So hey guys, next week, so this month, July, marks us
actually
celebrating.
June marked the actual date was in June.
5 years of us
July.
doing Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
5 years. We've been doing this for 5 years. Our first radio program on SFM, formerly Radio 1, was in June of 2005 years ago.
2016.
2016. So next week we've got a special treat, special program that we want to do to just celebrate the 5 years that we've been doing Mr. and Mrs. And so you are a very big part of it, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for being and helping us, and walking with us on this journey. It's been an amazing and a fascinating and a journey where we've been growing. We have grown so much because of that, because of you. So you don't want to miss next week. It's going to be quite amazing. We'll be talking to a whole lot of people who have been with us since day one, people who joined along the way, people who you won't want to miss it. We're going to learn a lot as well. So thank you so much for the congratulations, Fungai, Tino. Thank you guys. Yeah,
Thank you
it's been
so
5
much.
years.
It's been 5 years, yeah, both doing radio and now online. Because obviously when COVID came, we couldn't get our guests to come onto radio, so yeah, we became the Facebook lives. But it's been 5 years, a good 5 years.
One guy says I had to buy a radio for that.
Yeah, she did, hey.
Those are some of our day ones right there.
So yeah, please make a date with us for next week. We want to have fun with you. We also want to interact with you and just hear from you as well. So yeah, be a part of it. So let's meet next week.
Absolutely. So guys, remember, back to the basics. Let's serve one another. Let's have help desks in the homes. Let's have suggestion boxes in the homes, and let's unlock each other. What's the biggest lesson of the 5 years?
Next week.
We'll answer that next week. So stay tuned. Okay, tune with us next week. We'll be answering all of those questions next week. All right, dope, guys. Remember, unlock. I like the unlocking bit. Remember where you heard it first. Unlock one another. Let's unlock each other. Baby, let's go unlock each other.
I hope by that you mean make me a cup of tea, because I need a cup of tea with lemon.
My name is Simba.
And I'm Ivy.
Or you can call us Mr. and Mrs. And remember,
keep on loving.
Keep on loving. Bye-bye.
Bye.